I don't think any man or woman should run for president unless, number one, they know exactly why they would want to be president, and two, they can look at the folks out there and say, I promise you, you have my whole heart, my whole soul, my energy, and my passion to do this. And I'd be lying if I said that I knew I was there.
That, of course, was Joe Biden appearing on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert last month and discussing whether he has the heart to run for president of the United States. But was Biden more interested in a presidential bid than he was letting on? You'll recall that the vice president experienced a surge in popularity back in August when Maureen Dowd reported in her New York Times column that Joe Biden's dying son, Beau, had one last request for his dad. She wrote, Beau was losing his nouns and the right side of his face was partially paralyzed, but he had a mission. He tried to make his father promise to run, arguing that the White House should not revert to the Clintons and that the country would be better off with Biden values. Now, since August, most polls have shown increasing support for a Biden run for his party's nomination. But now, the political magazine Politico is reporting that it was the vice president himself who leaked the story of his son's dying wish that his dad run for president. It seems that the vice president may have been floating his own trial balloon to the public to see if there would be sufficient interest in a Biden campaign. So far, that answer appears to be a resounding yes. So, was the vice president acting in a somewhat calculating manner when he told Mrs. Dowd of his son's wishes? Or was emotion really controlling the day, Joe?
I question this story very highly.
The Politico story.
Absolutely, the Politico story, because it comes as usual from the unnamed sources, right. And I use unnamed sources, and I totally get it. But to think that somebody would actually use their son's death, somebody as, look, you can like Joe Biden. I think what he said yesterday was deplorable about all Republican nominees being homophobic. I think that's way over the line, right? And it's not. It shouldn't be in this this campaign. However, to think that he would go so far to say, you know what, boy, my son's death, I really can get popular off of something like this and draw sympathy to myself. I can't get there that a human being would actually do that.
It's an interesting point. Morgan, I've been surprised today. A number of people who would be natural opponents of Joe Biden have said pretty much what Joe just said. They really are not prepared to lay this on him. What do you think?
I think that, you know, Joe Biden over the course of his long political career has said some really crazy things, but I think generally he's a pretty well-liked guy. Yes. I think, you know, what he said yesterday being case in point. And so, you know, it's interesting that these unnamed sources were named. I have a feeling that they are somehow associated with the Clinton campaign.
You do get that feeling, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, it's just such a nasty story.
You agree with that, Ben? You're shaking your head, yes.
Well, I think it's possible, and also note that this was basically Barack Obama's newspaper, the New York Times, where this was printed, and I don't think there's any great coincidence that that's the case.
Interesting. Right. So do you think the negative spin that's surely going to be put on this story by Biden's opponents, whether they're Democrats or whether they're Republicans, is this going to cause him to lose any support as it goes forward, or has he already lost support as a result of today's story? Start with Ben.
I don't think it really hurts him, honestly. He can always frame it as, look, this was a reporter who framed a story the way she wanted to frame it, and, you know, we shouldn't be politicizing this issue.
Right.
You're all agreeing too much. What the heck is this?
Well, I think that we're all just so used to the crassness of the Clinton, Bill and Hillary Clinton, and the people associated with them, that it's somewhat not surprising to see these attack articles leaked, especially in Politico.
Yeah, the
Politico
timing here is very, very interesting.
And it's really interesting what I'm hearing all of you say, and I've heard this throughout the day today. There's a confluence of situations here. One, I think nobody really believes that that's who Joe Biden is. Right. And good for him. You know, whether you like him politically or not, I think everybody agrees he's a very decent man. Couple that with the feeling that there's Clinton all over this. And I think that, Ben, what you said is right. This is not going to hurt him. And in fact, when the stories start to come out, as I suspect they might, that there are Clinton fingerprints on this, won't it help him, Joe?
Rick, the Clinton camp is scared to death of a Joe Biden candidacy. They're not so much scared of Bernie, because the way they see it, maybe we lose Iowa, we'll definitely lose New Hampshire, South Carolina's our wall, once we go down south we're fine. Joe Biden, that all changes, because he can get the African-American vote the way Bernie Sanders cannot. Any support that you see dropping from Hillary Clinton, it comes from Joe Biden running.
Right.
He doesn't draw from Sanders. He draws from Clinton.
Interesting. I'm curious what you have to say about this. We all know that candidates are really popular until they decide to become candidates.
Exactly.
And then everything starts to change. Now, I think Joe's right. Right now, it's all going to, if it's coming from Hillary, it's probably going more to Biden than it is to Bernie. What happens if Joe Biden announces a race?
I think he's going to need to announce pretty soon, because I do think...
You think he's going to, by the way?
No, I don't think he's going to.
No.
I think that he is really grieving and loves the public adoration that he's getting right now. But I think where the American people are, who are the people that are highest in the polls? The people who are aggressive, right? The people who are tough, the people who are strong-minded. And I don't think that, it's fine to sort of play with the presidency, but after a while, people sort of say, okay, make up your mind. We want someone who wants this, who wants to fight for us. That's who's leading in the polls right now. And Joe Biden, I think, he only has a few more weeks of dithering on this.
How much will it affect, Ben, his decision? Today we're hearing stories that people close to the Clintons are suggesting that Hillary bail out on New Hampshire, that she quit spending a lot of money up there, quit spending time on there, and just write it off. That's got to have an impact on Joe.
Well, look, there's been the perfect confluence of events, and as Hillary continues to get dragged through the mud, it only makes Biden look more and more attractive. And I don't think that the Benghazi hearing and what comes after that are going to help Hillary very much either.
Well, I would have agreed with that last week. I think at this point, the Benghazi hearing has turned into no harm, no foul, no nothing, except an opportunity for Hillary to remind them on every answer that they're only there to come after Hillary.
It's never good to combine McCarthy and hearings, ever.
Yeah, never good. All right, so do you think Joe Biden leaked his son's dying wishes to the press? If you do or if you don't, go to newsmaxtv.com/comments and let us know. Coming up, critics are blasting a California university professor for having created a multi-million-dollar race base.